Welcome to the Talking Sports Law Podcast, created and produced by K&L Gates. Each episode features a discussion of legal issues from the world of sports, interviews with sports law professionals, and analysis of recent trends. Let's get this episode kicked off.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates. I'm your host, John Wilson. I'm joined by my trusty sidekick and co-host, Trevor Gates. Trevor, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. It is March. It is a great time for a lot of sports. We just finished the Winter Olympics. The sun is coming out in a lot of the countries, so I'm doing well.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about today's episode of Talking Sports Law. On today's podcast, we're excited to be joined by Marissa Meli, Associate General Counsel for the Green Bay Packers, an iconic franchise playing in the National Football League. As many of our guests already know, the Packers had a very strong 2025 season, but came up just short in the playoffs. On today's episode, we're going to get into Marissa's journey to the Packers, what her role within the organization entails, and what she sees as some of the trends in the world of sports law. Marissa received her undergraduate degree from Northwestern University, go Wildcats, and she attended law school at the University of Illinois. She has also participated in postgraduate work at both Harvard Law School and Stanford University. Marissa Meli, welcome to Talking Sports Law, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Trevor. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for the kind intro.
Of course. Marissa, can you talk about your path you took to your current role and how did you become interested in sports law?
I had a little bit of an unusual path, I would say, to sports law. So in law school, I knew that I wanted to eventually go in-house, and I was interested in corporate transaction work. So I was president of the Corporate and Business Law Association, which is a thing. That is a real thing. And that was something that I was focused on in my studies. That was the firm work I was going to do. And then almost on a whim, I applied to the Department of Justice honors program and I got in. And I had to go and do that. I had to take that opportunity. The training was excellent. You're working with some of the best lawyers in the country, and they sit down with you and spend time with you, and they want to help you become an excellent lawyer. And I just found that to be so rewarding and such an excellent and helpful start to my career. And then from there to the Green Bay Packers, which was quite a transition. You're working on national security matters, and then you're coming over to what a lot of people consider, myself included, dream job, working in pro sports as an attorney. And it's just been awesome ever since. It's my 10th season that I just finished up. Didn't end the way that any of us wanted it to, but it's just been an incredible journey, and I'm having so much fun doing what I do.
Marissa, I can tell you that Trevor and I know a lot of people in the sports industry, and I'm not sure if I've ever heard of anyone who's gone from the DOJ honors program to an in-house position. It is certainly a unique path.
Sure is. And, when law students, I know we'll get into this later, when law students ask me about my path, I was like, I always try to preface it and say, okay, I did this, but you should. And then I go on.
Probably a good response. Well, Marissa, can you just provide a little bit of an overview of what your role looks like with the Packers? I mean, if there is such a thing, what does a typical day look like?
I think you hit it exactly, John. It's if there is such a thing as a typical day. There never is. And that's, I think, one of the really fun things about the job. I mean, I think you hear me say after 10 seasons, I'm still excited about my work. And that's because there is no typical day. Teams have very small legal departments, which means you are a jack of all trades and a master of some. Any given day, I'm working on information security committee work. I'm doing the sponsorship deals. I'm managing our intellectual property. I'm working in our retail. There's just always something that's coming up, and it's always different. You end up becoming part business person, part lawyer, part strategist, and just being immersed when you do in-house work is just so much fun and so rewarding.
Well, I'm sure one thing that contributes to the complexity you have to deal with is the unique structure of the Packers. So I think many of us, or silly, some of our listeners might know that the Packers are structured as a publicly owned nonprofit organization, which is unique, at least compared to structures of other teams in the U.S. How does that ownership model impact the team's legal function and what you have to deal with as compared to other NFL franchises?
We are very heavy in corporate governance, as you would expect, with our unique ownership structure, which means that I'm able to dig into a lot of those corporate issues that I find very interesting. But I think for me, there's a very profound sense of stewardship that comes with this job. We've got, well over 500,000 shareholders, and they call and they say, "Hi, my name is such and I'm a shareholder." And I say, "Great, let's talk." That to me is an owner. I mean, there are a lot of traditional owners in this league who I think are fantastic, wonderful families. I could go on and on to talk about those teams that are good stewards and they understand legacy and believe in that. And this kind of emphasizes for me how important that is. I mean, you have people who, this is a blue collar town. They save up money to buy stock and invest in the team. They're invested emotionally and financially. Obviously, it's not a typical investment. There are no dividends. You can't resell it, but it really amplifies what I'm here to do, which is to be a good steward of a legendary franchise.
Marissa, one of the things you mentioned that falls within your job scope is intellectual property. And obviously, the Packers have one of the most iconic brands in all of professional sports. I mean, you see that green and yellow color, you see the helmet logo, and everyone knows that's the Packers, right? So how do you approach sort of protecting and monetizing that very iconic Packers brand while staying true to really the community-based identity of the club?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I mean, like almost all of the NFL franchises, we've been around forever. We've been around for more than 100 years. That is long before me. We will be around long after me. And the IP portfolio is part of my stewardship. So we have to protect the G. They talk about it, the league protect the shield. We talk about protecting the G. So I need to be very mindful of protecting our marks and enforcing our rights. But we also look toward the future, what we want to develop and what we want to modernize and what we want to keep fresh. So I'm also making new trademarks and doing new filings and thinking about how we can create and enhance some of our branding. And a lot of that is in some of the more free-flowing elements that we have, like the Cheesehead brand. We acquired Cheesehead in the past 5 years, and that's been something that we've taken great pride in acquiring from a small business owner. So with Cheesehead and some of our other marks, we're modernizing the way that we use those and expanding into new classes, and I'm protecting for that. So I'm filing marks to protect our future, but I'm also enforcing for the past, and that helps us build a really good foundation that keeps that market calm for people who would be infringers, but also puts us in a position to grow and be protected while we grow. So in some ways, our intellectual property is one of our most valuable assets that I'm here to steward that into the future while respecting the past, certainly.
Switching gears a bit, Marissa, one topic that seems to be on everyone's mind right now is artificial intelligence and how AI and Gen AI is used in the world of sports and in the legal profession, right? We're all dealing with that now. Have you had to confront AI in your role with the Packers, and what were the issues that you're presented, or how did you face it?
I'm on our information security committee, and AI governance is a case of first impression for all of us, like you said. We'll have one meeting 1 week and the entire world is shifted by the next week. So you have to be nimble, and you want, internally, you really want to encourage growth. You want to encourage people to be equipped with the best tools for their business. I don't necessarily know what's best for you as a marketer in terms of what AI tools you can harness. I don't know what's best for you in the ticket office for what AI tools you can harness. So bring them to me, and we as a committee will take a look at those, see to the best of our ability, how does the AR governance work? How does the data privacy work? Get those foundational things correct and contract them and make sure that we're within, a safe four walls with our data privacy. And let's go, let's modernize. Let's use these tools to the extent that we can to better our business and keep moving forward. You do, of course, from an IP perspective, you have to keep protecting the team IP, player rights, obviously the union heavily involved in that. But I need to be mindful too to educate people about not only what you put into AI in terms of public-private data, but what you're taking out. So the fear is you end up with some, generative AI project that creates this, let's say, this is not an example that we actually have here, but let's say Gemini creates a really cool looking t-shirt for me using a Packers logo. The branding's not going to be right. It's not going to be our brand standards. And also, for all I know, I'm infringing another artist's work. So you want to be using it for maybe some, idea boards, some thought processing, but being mindful that what you're putting out, really isn't necessarily something you want to be putting out from a legal perspective. But it gives me a great opportunity to work with IT, work with finance. At heart, I'm a huge nerd. My dad was a software architect, and I grew up with internet before everybody had internet. And I loved kind of exploring this and enjoying the innovation while doing what I can to, again, be a good steward and protect our brand.
I mean, you're right that it seems like every single day or week, something is, being transformed by AI. But let's sort of switch gears from cutting edge technology to a very old asset, and that's Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field is coming up on almost 70 years old at this point, and it's obviously a historic venue. And the stadium operations at Lambeau obviously involve everything from fan safety to activating sponsorships to major events. So what would you say are some of the most complex legal challenges that come with operating a historic venue like Lambeau Field year round?
You hit it on the head with historic venue. I would invite anybody, football fan, sports fan, or otherwise, come to a game at Lambeau. It's awesome. It's legendary. The environment is like nothing else. Sit on our metal benches, feel concrete beneath your feet. I mean, it's old football. It's really the soul of the game. Come out. We'd really love to have you. For us, one of the challenges of having the historic stadium is, I'll keep reflecting on the same thing, which is protecting your brand, protecting what makes you unique, but still keeping things modern. So how can we work in those grab and go stations, but keep the soul of the place? Can you imagine Vince Lombardi still walking down that tunnel? That's important. That's critical, but you want to have a good experience for our fans too. So it's part of that is working on that, making it fun without, and I say this as a commercial lawyer, overly commercializing the stadium to the point that it's not recognizable, right? And part of that for us is how we respond to the challenge that every team has right now. And by challenge, I mean an opportunity, which is to make it a 365 destination. So we have at Lambeau, we've got tours, we've got Hall of Fame, we've got all these cool opportunities to come and explore the venue when there's not a game. Maybe financially coming to an NFL game, that's not part of your life right now. That's not attainable for you right now. That's not something you can spend the money on right now. Cool. Come see us. Come see the Hall of Fame. Come walk on the same concrete that Ray Nitschke and Bart Starr walked across to get onto the field and check out the field. That's something that's really cool. And then across the street with our mixed use, we're able to develop that space in Titletown to be cutting edge and do all those fun and free things where, the sanctity of Lambeau Field you want to maintain, but across the street we can do the breakneck technologies, do some of our innovation labs, do some of those really fun, modern, high-end hotel and huge sledding hill and all those really cool things. So putting on those two different hats at one time is super critical. And, every team, I think, who can really lean into that brand, lean into the 365-day experience, every venue in the surrounding area, really embrace that your fans want to be with you and they want to celebrate the team with you. And they just want to be a part of what goes on here on a day-to-day basis.
That's a very good point. I mean, I think from a lawyer standpoint, a lot of the times we get sort of stuck in the weed on legal issues. But at the end of the day, especially in your case, Marissa, you are providing a product or an output to fans, to spectators, helping the players. And you got to sort of keep that in mind, right? How do you address some of these issues? How do you deal with them? But then keep in mind what people are coming to see, right? What they want, what works for them. How do you keep the tradition, right? How do you protect what people have come to love about Lambeau Field, right?
Absolutely. And I say this all the time, but everybody in the building taking a true stewardship and ownership approach of what this place is and what this should be. And in every day that I walk in here, I walk past that giant Lombardi trophy and I'm reminded of what a responsibility this is to carry the soul of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of trends or big issues you see in sports law in the coming year? I don't know if that's gets back to some of the Gen AI issues or others. But what do you sort of see on the horizon, or what are you currently facing right now, perhaps, as some of these larger issues in sports law?
The private equity element is really interesting. I think that's going to really keep developing on the league side, and watching those different entities kind of take ownership in different teams and how that's transformed a lot of teams in a very positive way. I think that's really exciting, something to continue to look forward to, how that expands. Obviously, we're the original private equity team, so nothing's changing here on that end. But watching that go on with other teams has been really exciting, and excited to see that new investment and watch the game continue to grow. Keep talking about the stadium districts. So every team is now a real estate developer, and every team is now, and if they're not, I'm sure they're thinking about it. Event space, townhomes, apartment buildings, restaurants, all those things. Keeping the lights on 365 is going to become very critical for every team. It is already, but I think you're going to see a lot of teams who aren't already planning that continue to lean into that in the area around the stadium or very close by.
So, Marissa, in addition to Trevor's parents and my parents, some of our most devoted listeners of Talking Sports Law podcasts are law students. And we're grateful that we have a bunch of law students who are interested in the sports industry who listen to the podcast. But for those young lawyers who might be listening and who are interested in sports law, what would you say are some of the experiences that best prepared you for becoming in-house counsel for the Packers? And maybe what are some of the misconceptions that you might see while working inside of a professional sports team?
Biggest misconception is it's all about the game, which it is. It's 1, 2, and 3, but you're also running a world-class business, and you're a steward of that business, and you're focused on all those things that are really wonderful in-house commercial lawyers should be focused on. There's HR, there's IT, there's all those things that are still a huge part of it. And you've got the added element too of being in a very, very public-facing industry. So you're doing, in a lot of ways, the same work that another company is doing, just in a different situation. The trappings are different. So I think to the extent that students, people who want to work in the industry are really focused on sports law, at the end of the day, the best thing you can be is a really great commercial attorney. You want to be in-house counsel at a sports team, be a great transactional attorney first, and the rest will come after that.
Well, there is the whistle, which indicates that we have come to the end of our regular time and we're moving into overtime. So, Marissa, on overtime, Trevor and I are going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and we'd love to hear your responses, just whatever comes into your mind first. So, Marissa, are you ready for overtime?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Go ahead, Trevor.
What's your favorite activity or hobby when you are not working?
I have a toddler at home. She's 2. She's amazing. My favorite thing to do is to take her to all of our activities. She's in soccer right now. Every time she kicks it into the net, which, we miss a lot because we're 2, I'm out there, I'm doing goal with my arms up. I love being a part of it. It's so much fun. It's chaotic. It's just great. It's such a delight. So I would say my favorite hobby is toddler mom when I'm not at work.
Marissa, what's your go-to guilty pleasure snack food?
McDonald's. I love chicken McNuggets. I love them so much. Always have, always will.
What's the greatest live sports moment you have ever been a part of, or maybe a significant one if you have multiple?
So when I passed the bar and I was sworn in, I got myself a little treat. I bought floor seats to the Cavs LeBron return game. It was so awesome. It was so cool. I'll remember it the rest of my life. It was electric. He was cool. Cleveland is such an awesome city. It was just such a cool moment to be a part of. I probably shouldn't have afforded that on a DOJ salary. Love being in the federal government. It was great. Probably should have splashed out of those tickets, but you know what? It was worth it.
The energy in the building that night must have just been incredible.
It was amazing. I loved it for that city. I loved it for those people. It was great.
Marissa, what is one book or TV show or podcast that you've really enjoyed in the past 6 months or so?
I'm really having a lot of fun with Aaron Sorkin's 1929. So I'm not through it yet because I get, see toddler mom, don't get a ton of extra time to do my reading that I like to do. But it's really cool reading the really serious nerd stuff about the governance and what happened and how things could be better from a business perspective, but also with the spicy drama that he's so great at writing about. It's been a lot of fun. Maybe I can't give a full recommendation because I haven't finished it, but so far it's really awesome. You should check it out.
If you were not working as a sports lawyer or perhaps creating Go Pack Go signage or cheesehead gear, what would you be doing?
I would be in Silicon Valley right now working for Anthropic and creating and just diving deep into the nerd stuff that I love so much, being on the forefront of technology and then making sure, I'm putting up those governance walls and protecting everybody while they're flying at a breakneck speed. I think that would be so much fun. So Claude, if you're reading this, call me.
And that'll do it for another episode of Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates. Special thanks to our guest, Marissa Meli, the Associate General Counsel for the Green Bay Packers. You can find all of our episodes on our website, knlgates.com, or by searching Hub Talks, wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or you have ideas for future podcast topics, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Trevor or myself. And thanks very much for listening to Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates.